suis vraiment ravie d'accueillir sur scène la réalisatrice du film que vous venez de voir, Manuela Martelli.
But it's also a very personal and intimate film about a wake-up call, a woman who becomes aware of an issue, and so in that way it's a bit of an epic. What made you want to make this film?
Well, hello everybody. Thank you for staying and being here. It became as a very personal research and question about my grandmother. I never met her. It was my mother's mom, but I knew she was a special woman because I knew she had gone after being a housewife and having kids. I knew she had gone to art school just for a few years. This was a very progressive art school in Santiago who was shut down by the coup and dictatorship. And I was very curious about this woman because, you know, I knew this, and there was always this sculpture of her in the living room, and I kept on wondering who she was. And I started asking my mom and my family about her, and I discovered that she was a very special person, very advanced for this period, and I started wondering about all these anonymous women who had been there and in a way had a secret, you know, because they weren't in the history books, and I never read about women during this period in school. I always read history books written by men, and so I thought that it was an act of justice in a way to give light to these women, these anonymous women who might have, who had, you know, a special sensibility, even if, I mean, they had this, how you say, like, no mandato, you know, like this, they had to be in a certain parameters, you know, they had to behave in certain parameters, but some of them were looking for more.
Well, your experience as an actress transpires a lot in the film. We feel it in the film, in the way maybe you direct your actress, but also in the writing, because it feels like Aline, who plays Carmen, really carries the film. So did you write the film for her, and how did you two collaborate?
Yes, I wrote it for her. Yes, I knew Aline for a long time. In fact, we showed Machuca here, which was a film that premiered in La Quinta, and Aline was also playing there. And so I knew her also by her work, and I think she was the only one who played this role for me, because there was something about the sensibility, as I said, of this character, of this person, that had to have these both things, being a housewife, but having all this interior world. And I think Aline, for me, was the actress that could portray these two things, but also projecting this by her presence, this special sensibility and this, how can I say, hunger for more.
The film with Manuela and how you prepared for this part.
Comment? Oui, enfin, oui, d'abord, merci d'être aussi nombreuses avec nous aujourd'hui. Bon, ça a été un très long procès de 5 ou 6 ans, même 7. On a beaucoup parlé de nos grands-mères, la sienne, la mienne, celle des femmes de l'époque, pour vraiment pouvoir rentrer dans leur peau et les construire, la construire, et aussi les autres femmes du film, il y en a d'autres, d'une façon la plus vivante et concrète que possible. Alors on a beaucoup travaillé sur des photos, sur des histoires, des anecdotes, de comment chacune avait vécu, Manuela moins parce qu'elle est plus jeune, mais la dictature au Chili, cette époque-là, étant enfant. Voilà, il y a beaucoup de personnel dans le film, des deux, Manuela et de moi aussi, mis là dans. Alors, au tournage, c'était vraiment, c'était déjà un peu, c'était fait, quoi. Parce qu'on a tourné assez vite, quoi, un petit peu dans la foulée. Au Chili, c'est pas évident de faire du cinéma, mais on avait tellement bossé avant que bon, on arrivait à se comprendre même sans se parler, quoi. Voilà, c'est ça. Et sinon, c'était tellement bien pour Manuela, et en tant que comédienne aussi, la façon de faire la direction d'acteur est très différente. C'est vraiment un rapport mais tout à fait différent par rapport à d'autres réalisateurs. Et voilà, c'est ça, Mani, l'âme, quoi.
It was a long process. It took maybe 6 or 7 years. We talked a lot about our grandmothers, the women of the time in general, to get a sense of who they were and what, so that we could embody them and build their characters as lively and concrete as possible. We went through photographs and anecdotes and how they all lived through this time, this dictatorship. So we put a lot of ourselves in the film, a lot of Manuela and also me. So in the filming, everything was already set. And because we had little time to film, because in Chile it's not always easy to make films, but we had worked so much beforehand that when we were there, we understood each other without even having to talk sometimes. And as an actress, things are so clear in her mind that it was great to be directed by her. She has a different relationship to actors than other directors. But it's also very modern in many aspects, visually, but also with the work on sound, which is pretty unusual. There's a lot of silence, but your use of music, in sometimes electro music, builds up this tension. Can you tell us about the relationship that you had in your work?
It's interesting that you mentioned that it's a modern approach to the music, because I think so too, but at the same time we started working with 70s synthesizers from the 70s, and especially the ARP and the Minimoog. And they have a very particular characteristic. They connect us with horror movies, or movies, I think movies from this period used to use a lot of these synthesizers. And so this was my start, like my start point, and then we wanted to these synthesizers become more and more human. So what happens in the movie is that we add wind instruments and brass instruments, and as almost as a transformation of the synthesizers and into a more human thing, because of course the wind instrument and the brass instrument is very connected. It's a metaphor almost of the human voice, because it's so connected with breathing. And so is this becoming human, that happens in the whole soundtrack, which I think it happens also with the character, that she becomes more fragile, more affected for the situation and then more human. So that's it.
So well, the use of color. It had also to do with her, no? Since I knew that the film was his character and it was totally centered on this point of view. There was also the use of color as a way to follow her. The blue is in her car. The red starts from a desire of her painting the house, but suddenly, as this assault is heard outside, for me it's kind of like something gets how you say, like impregnated in this painting and in this paint, and I mean, and for me it's like something that gets impregnated in this paint, then it's in her walls, because for me the film is about this filtration of the outside inside, and then for me the painting the walls with this impregnated painting was something, and this is why it starts from being like more like a pastel color and becoming more as a bloody kind of color. Yes.
It seems like you give a big part to the sea in the film, because we see the corpse on the side on the beach, and then we talk about the ghost ships. So it seems like you made the sea a character in this tension building up also.
Yeah, thank you. And yes, the ocean, the sea is a character, because it was and it is a character in Chile. It's very characteristic. We have this long coast, and for me, and there's this how do you say, the song of Chile, you know, that says in a phrase, that ocean that so calmly bathes you. I'm doing a terrible translation of this, but in a way, it's the Pacific, and it's very turbulent and not Pacific. And the song says, so calmly it bathes you. And in the 70s, they were throwing dead bodies in this ocean, you know. And this is also very characteristic of this period. And for me, the film is about this living in parallel to what's happening outside. This is what I was saying about the world. You're living your life, but something is going on there outside, and you keep on your daily life, but they are throwing these dead bodies in the ocean. So for me, the presence of the ocean was very important, because it's kind of like for me, it's like a scream.
C'est le corps d'une détenue disparue. C'est son corps qui a dénoncé la disparition des prisonniers politiques au Chili. Donc c'est un personnage très important dans le film qui met en contexte l'histoire de l'année 1976, qui a été la plus sombre et la plus sanglante de la dictature.
And also want to point out that this corpse is the missing piece that makes visible that there was a political prisoner in Chile in that year, 1976. That was one of the darkest years of the dictatorship.
Merci de partager votre expérience et votre film. Merci beaucoup d'être venu.
Hey, this is Eric from MyOnCinema.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.